Well, the U.S. is winding down its military adventures in a number of different countries, but appears to be on the brink of something big, maybe an intervention in Venezuela. Yesterday, the president said, quote, all options are open in that country. Meanwhile, National Security Advisor John Bolton, an advocate of war everywhere, went on Twitter to praise Colombia for accepting Venezuelan refugees and then said the rest of the world, including us, should show, quote, the same generosity. In other words, get ready for a massive migration wave into this country. Are we ready? Douglas Macgregor is a retired U.S. Army colonel, author of the book Margin of Victory, and a frequent guest. Great to see you, Colonel. So that sounds like a public warning of imminent action that we should prepare for refugees in this country.
Well, the only thing that I can say is that I agree with is that Latin America should solve this problem. This is not something we should involve ourselves in. If we go to Venezuela with military power, not only will we be initiating a war, effectively, for regime change, and we know where that leads because we've been through several of those this far, but we are making the problems created by the people of Venezuela our problems, and we'll be on the hook for it. It will become an enormous money pit, much like Iraq and Afghanistan.
But our operating and John Bolton's operating assumption is that when there's a disaster, we ought to admit as many refugees as we can. What does that do to the countries from which they're coming?
Well, we have operated as a relief valve for Mexico for many, many decades. Every time they can't employ people, whenever they have discontent at home, when people lose their jobs, they're sent north. And so we have actually relieved the pressure on the Mexican government to do anything about the social inequities, the lack of social justice, the criminality, and the problems in the country. And this is exactly what you will see in other Latin American countries like Venezuela.
So how are we making it better if we allow the mismanaged, in some cases criminal governments of these countries to continue without being challenged by their populations, because their populations don't live here?
Look, first and foremost, the foundation for any successful foreign policy towards Central America and South America is a secure southern border. If that's not secure, it is an open wound, and it will be exploited by everyone south of the Rio Grande repeatedly in perpetuity. So we've got to secure that border first. And by the way, if we go into Venezuela, it's going to cost us an enormous sum of money that dwarfs the cost of securing the southern border.
But isn't it racist to secure our borders?
No. In fact, you don't have a country without borders. And we have plenty of evidence all over the world that walls, border fences, troops on the border work. They preserve the security of the population they protect. They also ensure the rule of law in many cases. Israel's done this very successfully. The Hungarians have done so very successfully. We need to do the same thing, because if you don't, eventually you lose your country.
You just named two countries that don't hate themselves, whose leaders think it's their job to take care of their country.
That's right.
I wish we had that. Colonel, great to see you.
Thank you
very much.